Good evening, folks, and welcome to this week's episode of Beer Rating with Sean Connors. As per usual, I'll give my glass just a quick cold water rinse as per normal. Cool down the glass a bit. And we'll crack it open, pour it up, read the label as per usual, and then we'll talk a little bit about the beer. And finally, I'll end up, as I always do, by giving my review out of 5. Alright. If you remember, several weeks ago I picked up a 5-pack of German wheat beers. Well, this is number 4 of 5. So as you can see, it's a dark wheat beer. And wheat beers in general are known for a substantial head, and this one is no different. Okay, so we'll let that sit for a second. I'm going to read the label. You have to bear with me because it's in English, German, and probably a couple other languages. It's Erdinger Pikantus, Pikantus. It's a Dunkler Weizenbock. So the style of beer would be a Weizenbock, which is basically a style of Bock beer, which I'll talk to in a second. It says Erdinger, like I said, Pikantus, whatever it is. In German, basically says private brewery since 1886. And there's another thing in German. I'm pretty sure it just talks about how the beer is made according to the purity laws. And we talked about that before. Basically, the purity laws came into effect in Bavaria. Basically said you can only make beer with 4 ingredients, being water, yeast, hops, and barley, with the exception of you could add wheat instead of barley, and that was for all the wheat beers. This is one of those. So on the back of it again, just says Erdinger wheat beer, which is wheat beer. Name of the beer again, Pikantus. Dunkler Weizenbock. This is a dark bock wheat beer. Bottle fermented, brewed and bottled by Erdinger Brewery. And 7.3% alcohol. So, as I said, it's a private brewery. The brewery's in Erdinger, and it's in the city of Erding, which is in the Bavarian area of Germany, which I believe is the southeast, somewhere around there. I'm not 100% up on that, but as I said, it's a wheat beer, also known as white beer or rye beer, or different names. And as you can see, I used my wheat beer glass, my Weizen glass, and that actually came with the pack of 5 that I bought. 7.3% alcohol, so it's the strongest beer that the Erdinger's brewery makes. As I said, this is the 4th of the 5th one that I have, so I have 1 left to go. This actually, if you go on the website, they actually call it a appetizer beer, which I've never heard that term used before. With beer, it stimulates the taste buds, so it's good as an appetizer beer before your meal. However, they also say it's good for, it pairs well with barbecue sauces and barbecue marinades. So there you go. If you go on the website, again, some of the terms they use to describe the beer is well-rounded. They say it's malty, a hint of nutmeg and nougat, slightly sweet characters, they also say, a soft, delicate finish, and a little bit spicy. So it should be a flavorful beer with not a lot of aftertaste. That's what I'm getting out of it. And it's a half-liter bottle, and my glass is a half-liter glass. Normally white beers or wheat beers, they normally come in half-liter bottles. Not always, but quite often. All right. As you can see, it's definitely dark. I can't even see through it. Nice aroma. As I said, substantial head, common for wheat beers. It's not even sure. say malty, and I think that's, if I didn't read the word malty, I'd be kind of like, I'm not sure how to describe it. But I think malty is definitely it. If you think of a dark beer, a lot of people think of like Guinness stouts. I'm not getting that. It's obviously not a stout by any means. But it's almost like a bit of a strong flavor that you would expect from when you're drinking a stout. I guess probably most dark beers you're going to get a lot of flavor. But at the same time, there's not a lot of aftertaste, which they said, a soft, delicate finish. It doesn't linger. You take a mouthful, it kind of hits you the taste, but it doesn't stay with you. Interesting. And as I said, this one is a Weizenbock. And basically, Weizenbock, the term Weizen, you'll see that Weizen glass or whatever, and it's a wheat beer. So a Weizenbock is a bock beer whereby they use wheat instead of barley. That's basically what it is. Then you're probably saying, okay, what's a bock beer? And I didn't know either. I've seen the term dozens of times, but I never, looked into it further. When we're getting ready to review this one, I just did a little bit of research. And basically, a bock beer is a strong German lager. That's the gist of it. And there's different types, such as Weizenbock. Bock beer itself, it originally started in the 14th century in a town in Germany, Einbeck. E-I-N-B-E-C-K. And at that time it was actually an ale. It was a dark, malty, lightly hopped ale. Fast forward to 300 years roughly into the 17th century. That's when, I've said before, ales were the original beer, and then later on, several hundred years later, if not longer, lagers came into effect. And lagers was basically a cooler temperature beer, and most lagers were a lot clearer, a lot lighter color. So basically in the 17th century in Munich, they actually adopted the bock in the new lager style. So they start developing bocks as a lager rather than an ale. And the funny thing is that the people in Munich, with their accent, they actually pronounced Einbeck, the city where wheat beers originally started, they pronounced it Einbock. And that's how the name bock came into play. And Einbock, I think the word bock itself, that translation from English to German, from German to English, the bock, is billy goat. So a lot of bock beers, if you look at the label, you might see a little goat. And if you ever do, that's how the goat came into the picture. Einbeck was pronounced Einbock, and bock was basically German for goat. So a lot of bock beers to this day, they have on their logo and whatnot, they have a little goat. And there you go. And originally bock beers, they were originally brewed for a specific, but not always, but they were commonly brewed for religious festivals such as Easter, Christmas, Lent, that type of thing. They were a seasonal celebratory brew, I guess you could say. And also in Bavarian area at the time, in Germany, monks, when they were fasting, I actually said this in earlier reviews, just in general, but bock, the monks would actually drink bock when they were fasting. And as I mentioned, past reviews, beer back in the day was a lot safer than water. The water was, you drank the water, you were getting sick, whereby you drank beer, which was made from water, obviously, it was after boiled, hops for preservatives, so it was actually safer to drink. As well, back in the day, a bottle of beer had more nutrients. Some beers would have more nutrients in it than, say, a loaf of bread type of thing. And even nowadays, people go for Guinness, you hear the term liquid lunch or liquid meal. And that's back in the day, it was safer to drink beer, and it was actually pretty healthy to drink beer. So monks that were fasting, they would survive by drinking beer. And in Germany, it was specifically bock beer. So there you go, folks. That's my little lesson on the bock beers. Now, my rating for this one. Dark beers are not really my go-to beer. I like something a little bit lighter. But at the same point, I do like a Guinness every now and then. I was tempted to say 3, which would be a good beer. A 2 is, I'll drink it. A 1 being I can't finish it. I think this one, I'm comfortable giving it a 2.5. It's not a bad beer. I'm definitely going to finish it. Down the road, if I was given another, I'd probably definitely drink it. However, I don't know if I'd go out and buy it on my own. So I think 2.5 is being reasonable. Especially considering the other Erdingers I had. This is probably my least like so far. And once again, I said I'm not a big fan of dark beers most of the time. As well, strong beers normally aren't my thing either. This one, you don't get the alcohol taste, but I'm tempted to give it a 3, to be totally honest, but I think I'm going to stick with the 2.5. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So my rating for the Weizenbock Erdinger Pikantus, Pikantus, I think I'm definitely comfortable giving it a 2.5. So there you go, folks. That's my rating for this week. Until next beer, as always, enjoy responsibly. Cheers.